Do you know the location of Ambassador Spock?
It's such a small club that we're members of at this point. I mean, there's, I'll be the second of two guys that have played Sulu. You know what I mean? So there's a certain headiness about the whole adventure. I think it bonds us even tighter.
James Kirk is everything that you'd want to be. Impulsive, brash, loud. He's a flirt. He loves his women. He likes a drink. He's got major issues with authority. And the process of the movie is how is this guy going to take all of these disparate energies and kind of mold them into the form of a captain?
Well, if you're half the man your father was, Jim, Starfleet could use you. You can be an officer in 4 years. You can have your own ship in 8. You understand what the Federation is, don't you? It's important. It's a peacekeeping and humanitarian armada.
We done?
I'm done. Riverside Shipyard. Shuttle for new recruits leaves tomorrow, 0800. Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including your mother's and yours. I dare you to do better.
The first time we see Bones, he's on a shuttle on the way to Starfleet Academy, and he's clearly been on some, 3-day bender, and he's recently divorced, and he's, absolutely at the bottom of his barrel, and he has this fear of flying, which I find absolutely hysterical, considering he's signing on to Starfleet, which operates in space, and so he has this massive case of avophobia, and this is where I first meet James Kirk, and it was a lot of fun. There's these two sort of, guys thrown together, and McCoy is clearly ranting and raving and quite unsettled.
I may throw up on you.
I think these things are pretty safe.
Don't pander to me, kid. One tiny crack in the hull and our blood boils in 13 seconds. Solar flare might crop up, cook us in our seats. And wait till you're sitting pretty with a case of Andorian shingles. See if you're still so relaxed when your eyeballs are bleeding. Space is disease and danger wrapped in darkness and silence.
As a Trekkie, I've got to say I am 100% cool with the idea of recasting these roles to get back to what made Star Trek truly great. We're talking about a show that had the first interracial kiss. We're talking about a show, I'm black on the right side, he's black on the left side. It was some of the most brilliant sci-fi metaphor ever made, and geniuses like Joe Straczynski and Ron Moore, it set them on their path.
There is no denying that Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek essentially redefined the concept of science fiction for a generation, and those effects have rippled all the way up to today.
But unfortunately, shows like Voyager and the first 3 seasons of Enterprise really took the wind out of Star Trek and made it into a formula with no soul or point and no commentary or relevance.
And audiences picked up on that and just stopped caring. But the visual treatment, the cast, and just the energy on this new reimagining has droves of JJ's fans coming over to watch Star Trek, in many cases, for the first time.
Now, it's one thing to impress an audience, but on a film like this that is steeped with visual effects and Industrial Light and Magic is working their, well, magic, it seems like JJ managed to even impress the cast and crew with the final product.
It far exceeded my expectations, and I was in the middle of it the whole time. The things that were built around us after we were done shooting the movie, the ILM guys and the special effects, and all of it is so stunning, really, and it's so epic and so big. It has to be experienced, I think, to really be understood.
Either we're going down, or they are.
In addition to being as brainy as the original series, I think that's certainly one thing that JJ is bringing from the original series. But a departure, for me, it seems like there's so much more action in this one. It's a really muscular Star Trek.
So what kind of combat training do you have?
Fencing.
Free jump.
Show Commander, you are clear from USS Enterprise airspace.
Gentlemen, we're approaching the drop zone. We have one shot to land on that platform.
may have defenses, so pull your chute as late as possible. 3, 2, 1. Remember, the Enterprise won't be able to beam you back until you turn off that drill.
Good luck.
You never have to have seen Star Trek ever to love this movie. And that, to me, is the key to the movie. We're not making Star Trek for Star Trek fans. We're making Star Trek for moviegoers. And if you happen to be a Star Trek fan, you will love it.
And really, the reason that Star Trek stopped being a viable film franchise is because it was made for Trekkies. And we're a tough crowd, it seems.
JJ's stroke of genius might just be the attempt to make Trek for everyone and broaden the scope of who enjoys this film franchise.
The backlash from Trekkies has been pretty vocal on the web, with some boycotting the film on the concept of recasting it all.
Which is understandable, but too bad. And others are disgruntled with the idea of a Shatner-free original series Star Trek.
But you never know, JJ's pretty good at surprises.
We already know that this film isn't a straight-up prequel, since there are elements that take place after Nemesis.
Now, from what I'm sensing, Trekkies are going to love the respect that JJ's Star Trek has for the last 40 years of Roddenberry canon, even if we find it's all been creatively thrown out the window thanks to this movie.
And if you can't just wait to dive right in, you can see what happened between Star Trek Nemesis and JJ's Star Trek in the comic book Countdown.
Now, I've checked it out, and I love what I've read. It looks like I'm a born-again Trekkie.
And I'm excited as a non-Trekkie too.
See you in the theater.
What is the current star date?
Star date 223304. Where are you from?